Okay, so let's get started. For next 30 to 40 minutes, we are going to discuss quickly on AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Learning Path. So mainly we will discuss what are the topics we need to learn to become AWS Certified Solution Architect. Not only on the certification point of view, mainly on the the job point of view, right? Because the ultimate goal of ours is getting into some job, right? And we will also discuss the course topics, what is exactly covered and how it is covered. And we will also discuss about the logistics part, like what are the class materials we will provide and how it will be provided. So also we will discuss about the recordings part and how you can get access to that. Now, before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Suresh. It's almost 15 years in IT. So I was initially working more on data center and data center operation. I was taking care of, some of the team. Mainly, we are working for VMware, Hyper-V, OpenStack, those kind of setup initially. And then later, from last 10 years, I'm working on the cloud. So initially, I was started with the AWS, and even I'm continuing now. And I also work for the Azure. Since Azure also becomes almost immediate competitor for the AWS cloud, right? So I work as a solution architect for one of the company where we mainly work with the various clients, specifically UK and Europe. We help them in terms of migrating their application from on-premises to cloud. So also we will help them, fine tune if anything already there and if they found some issues in terms of performance, in terms of security issues, right? So that's something my daily routine work. Now, in terms of training, I generally take in my free time, generally in the morning or evening of the day, just to share my knowledge across, so that also gives some opportunity to learn myself, right? So that's something I do. Coming to on the training part, okay, so let's talk about how it is really distributed. Now, from the training certification point of view, the AWS provides official the topic distribution based on their high level, I can say title, right? They split the entire title into four domains: domain one, domain two, domain three, and domain four. So in the domain one, so they call it as design resilient architecture. So we will discuss what about that, in detail. So then I performing architecture, then secure application, then cost optimized architectures. Now the percentage of questions expected from this individual domains, right? So this would give a high level, the understanding how the questions is expected, but our focus is not just to appearing for certification, because if you ask me how to pass the certification, so there are a lot of reference practice tests are available, and even if you just go and practice them 3 to 4 times, you can pass it. The passing solution architect associate, it's not a big job at all, So even to be honest, when we are earlier stage, when we are starting with cloud and all, so we used to just mug up the question and go to the certification, right? So moment open the certification window, so we used to see only the answer and tick mark, right? So even that way also you can pass it. For certification, there is no challenge at all. You can do right away. So I can help with necessary practice question, but more important is understanding the product, right? So that is should be the key focus. So when you say understanding the product, so you should know them practically how to use it, right? So because most of the interview when you face, so you will be asked all scenario based questions, right? So if this scenario, what you'll do. So if you have these many servers, how you will migrate to the cloud, how the user traffic will flow from browser to the application, right? So they will also ask a question, how the cost optimization you will do in the cloud. So how you control the building part, right? So how you analyze the performance of your application. So all scenario-based questions would come in the interview. So in such case, so you should be knowing product in a practical point of view. So that is the main focus of this training. So we handle it both on theory and the practical point of view, right? So initially, just looking at, in the high level, distribution, the first one, design resilient architecture. So here we mainly discuss how AWS infrastructure is set up in the cloud. Okay, so AWS also, it should be set up somewhere in the physical data center, right? So how it is set up, what is the concept of region, availability zone, edge location, so all these concepts. So then we will also discuss about VPC, that is more, how to set up your own private network on your cloud. Then DNS, Route 53, CloudFront, caching, the disaster recovery, how we can do in the cloud. Then decoupled architectures. So we will also discuss about AWS storage services, right? So it's mainly we will discuss about the design part. So next in the individual topic wise, so we will detail understanding how to configure it, how to have various options enable, etc. So that's something we will go through in the domain too. For example, auto scaling. So how to scale the number of VMs automatically based on the user load. So if user load increases, the number of instances increase. If it is decreased, the number of instances shrink. So such options we will discuss like auto scaling, then network load balancers. We will discuss about EC2, ECS, Elastic Beanstalk. So these are some of the topics. So then the storage point of view. So we will discuss about S3, which is very famous storage. Then the Elastic file system. So that is more like NFS kind of thing. So then we will get into very important the component of AWS, that is VPC, the networking part, because networking is something backbone for entire cloud. So be it Azure or be it AWS. So you should design your network such a way that it should be meeting the security and audit requirement of the companies. Also the general best practices. So it should be secured, it should be resilient. Okay, so it should be easily understandable, design format. So we will learn here how to create VPC, how to create a subnet, how to create NACLs, how to create security group, NAT gateways, bastion host, VPC endpoints, VPN, so direct connect, transit gateway, AWS global accelerator. So all these topics we will discuss in detail one by one, right? So then we will discuss about the PaaS service of the AWS, that is AWS databases. So we will discuss how to launch, PaaS service. Now, PaaS is nothing but a platform as a service. So here, what you do is so only spin up the platform directly, and then you start using it. So unlike normal VM-based approach where you launch the VM, then you will install the necessary software, then you configure it. Afterwards, you maintain it, right? Updating patches, updating security bugs, etc., etc. How lot operation task you will be having it. But when it comes to PaaS, it's everything managed by the AWS. So it's like you go get a platform, put your data, start using it, configuring software or patch update or security bug fix, everything it's automatically taken care by the AWS. You literally no need to worry about it, right? So that's something AWS databases we are going to discuss with practice. So then high availability across Amazon DynamoDB and Amazon Aurora. So these are, the DynamoDB is something serverless database, you call it as. We are going to discuss about, and then there is Amazon Aurora. So it is a MySQL based database, right? So we're going to discuss both. Then DynamoDB Accelerator. So it's mainly, in terms of performance acceleration in the DynamoDB, we are going to discuss in detail. I'm just pausing here, guys. Any questions? Anything wanted to clarify? Any questions? Okay, not a problem. The next thing in the domain 3, so we will discuss about security part. Now, moment you say cloud, the security is a very key because even small loophole will cause a major problem for you. So all the enterprise are extremely, cautious on the security part. So you should be aware in and out of security aspect, right? So in terms of AWS identity and access management, it's like how you provide access to the users in the AWS portal. So based on their job profile. So if there are VM administrator, if there is a network administrator, or if there are only the monitoring people, so you need to provide access according to their job role, right? The next thing, the Amazon Cognito for web and mobile security. So that's the Cognito service we are going to discuss. Then the AWS organization. So this is something that helps us to manage multiple AWS accounts. Some of the companies would have maybe 10 or 50 AWS accounts. So we should be able to manage them. Okay, so that's something we are going to discuss. Then protecting application using WAF and firewall manager. So that's something we are going to discuss. Then AWS logging. So how you can log the various logs getting generated in the AWS services in the particular AWS logging tool like CloudWatch and CloudTrail. And so then we will also discuss about audit, monitor, evaluate with the AWS config and AWS CloudTrail. So then we will also discuss about data encryption using AWS KMS service. So data encryption in the sense, so whenever you store the data on the cloud, so by default the requirement is it should be encrypted, right? So when I say encrypted, so it should not be read by anyone if they take your data out. So it should be encrypted using certain key pair, and only if the both key pairs are available, that should be decrypted. So such things we are going to discuss in detail. In the design 4, we will discuss mainly on the optimization part. So this is also very key in the cloud because in the cloud everything is a cost, right? So even if you spin up one VM, it will cost. Even if you spin up 1 GB of disk, it will cost. So we should be extremely cautious about cost. So we should know, uh, how to use the various type of service available. Okay, so we cannot just use any service just like that. So we need to compare them. So we need to really see whether it's beneficial for your application. So accordingly, we need to use. For example, yes, within the S3 there are three type S3, right? So which one to choose, right? So according to your performance requirement, according to the volume of data requirement, so you need to choose it, right? Well, for example, S3, S3 Glacier, EFS, Storage Gateway, AWS Backup, etc. So then saving plans. So this is type of billing. So either you can go for saving billing or reserved instance, we call it as. So if you go for this approach, so you would get some discount from the AWS. So there are by default, whenever you launch instances on AWS, so it comes as we call it as an on-demand, right? So it's kind of on-demand service. As you launch, you will be charged. Now, moment you go for reserved instance, for example, so 1 year reserved instance, so you can get around 30 to 40% of discount. Okay, so it's a good cost saving. So in case if you have a predictable production servers, which you are sure that it's going to run for next 1 year, such cases you can go for either a reserved instance or saving plan option. So then you have a cost optimization across the network infra as well. So some of the component maybe you can choose to leave or choose to retain. So according to your business requirement, right? So by default you get everything. So you need to choose which one is the right, and someone can be dropped, some service can be retained. So any questions? Anything wanted to clarify?
Hi, sir. How are you?
Yeah, so I think there are two questions together. Yeah, you can go one by one, not a problem. Thanks. Sorry for that. Vajid, you have any
Yeah,
question? I think. Yep.
yeah. Currently, I was working as a technical recruiter for a US process. So we have a lot of candidate on AWS. I have question like Linux is a basic thing for AWS. We can run on Windows as well.
Yeah, so AWS as a cloud provider, it
Right.
supports both operating system, Linux as well as the Windows. So in this course, as an additional, so we also discuss about Linux. The only reason is Windows is something everyone is compatible, but Linux something you can find people are having bit uh,
What
understanding only.
what you prefer, sir?
So I prefer Linux. See, in the cloud, what happens is the most of the services are coming as a open source and open platform. So all are Linux based. Windows, it's there still, but not large portion. Now, if you take 100 servers, you can see around 60 from Linux and 40 from the Windows. So that's how it is distributed. So Linux something we discuss in detail for making
Sure, sure,
everyone
sure.
comfortable. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
not a problem. Now, in terms of course curriculums, we have all these topics to be covered. Like these are the same thing, but it's more like we arranged it properly. Like introduction to cloud computing. So we have all these topics. Computing deployment. So we will discuss. So then cloud delivery service model we will discuss. Then we will discuss Linux topics. So this is bit detailed course curriculum which we are going to discuss, right? So introduction to AWS services, then we will discuss all these services in detail one by one. So however, it will look, small keywords, but we are going to spend enough time. It is a 32 hours entire training. So we are going to discuss each one in detail. So introduction to AWS and identity, Glacier, Route 53, CloudWatch, and we will also discuss some part on the Docker part because Docker also important, which is not there in the SA02 curriculum, but we will cover something extra, in in this training. So mainly
So
Linux as well as a
Kubernetes,
Docker part.
Kubernetes and Docker is a container tools, right? Docker
Yes,
image creating, right?
correct.
Okay.
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 So Shraddha this way. Yeah,
Yep.
I have one small doubt. Okay.
Yep.
So my
Yep.
first question is I'm already using the AWS services in our project, but it's only for starting the servers which are mounted on a AWS and all. So very limited things I'm doing with the existing AWS service. So my question is, when we will be enrolling for our course, like so how we will be getting the instance? I mean, is this the paid instance or we get a trial version wherein we can explore and practice all these things?
Yeah. So in
And
terms of subscription,
second,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
so you can answer this, then I can shoot the next question.
Not a problem. Thanks. Yeah. Now, in terms of subscription, we are going to guide you how to get your free trial account. And most of our services, I can say around 80 to 85% of topics, whatever we are going to discuss, so that can be done on this free tier without any cost, right? So there might be few services which we need to pay a bit, but there is an option to get that credit back. So overall training, so you can do it with a zero cost on the free tier subscription.
Okay,
Does that
okay,
answer your
yeah, thank
question?
you. Yes, yes, yes. And second question, I mean, recently I tried creating, SMTP credentials on a AWS. So actually, I'm not having the full access. So, after going to that particular page, under that, I think email sending, we have that SMTP details and all. So there we have the option for creating SMTP credentials. So that actually gives us the server also, SMTP server also, which is mounted in AWS. Okay. So my question
Mhm.
is, like, if we are using such a service, will how AWS gets to know, like, okay, these people using my SMTP features and all, and then will they be charging like what the features we are using, or how it is? I mean, if I'm able to access those features, then it should be like free of a cost. I mean, not the additional cost they should be charging. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Now this, yeah. So in terms of emailing, so one option is consuming the AWS own services, like there is a SNS service, which can be used for sending email alerts, SMS, and all. So when we are trying with free tier, so we have a page, moment you log into AWS account. So it will explain the free tier limits, right? Like how many EC2 instance you can send. So how many SMTP emails you can send. So that would tell you, on which, limit you can send the emails. Now coming to your SMTP specific question here. So of course, there are different external SMTP services also available. So based on your requirement, either you can choose AWS own or you can go for SMTP of your own company also. For example, if some company having O365 already, so they prefer to go with the O365, which is comes with free for them, SMTP service, or they can consume AWS SNS.
okay, okay. But I mean, like if we are using that feature from the AWS itself, so AWS will be charging it? Because I would say like AWS should not charge, right? I mean, because since I'm able to
So
access
yeah,
privileges,
you
so
can
I
consume it. You can consume it, but it's not like to use unlimited. So there is a capping. So if you just Google
oh,
AWS free tier limit, okay, so
okay,
AWS
okay,
service free tier limit. So you will be taken to the page where it's explained all the AWS services and what is the limit in the free tier. For let's say, for example, EC2 instance. So EC2 instance, you can use it one EC2 instance continuously running 24 hours up to 30 days of the month. So free it is 752 hours. Now, moment you run second instance, then you will be charged. It means because you are getting only 752 hours of credit. But if you know there is an option, if you shut down the EC2 instance, so your number of
mm,
hours calculation would be stopped. Okay, so that would help you to, run more number of instances, right? So example, if you are running two instances daily, 2 hours a day, so it will become per day 4 hours. 4 multiplied by 30, it's become 120. So you're consuming out of 752 only 120 hours. So remaining hours still free and you can, use it for more number of instances running. So such kind of limits are explained. So you can have a look
mm,
once. Even during the class, I will take you through that.
okay, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, so thank you, sir. I mean, I understood it.
Yeah. Now, other coming to the logistics part, we are going to share the class materials for each and every training. So we have a class materials which we will share through Google Classroom, right? So Google Classroom, it's something we use it, which is simpler to use, and so it has web-based interface, also the mobile app, and all the class materials we will publish it here. So as soon as we publish here, so you will be provided access. So you can get the materials, download it. There are materials and so on, scripts, everything. So you can make use of it. Whenever as we go with the topics, then we also have a stream here. So which is the interface between the trainer and the students. So it means if you have any question after the class, so you don't need to wait till the next class to trainer to arrive, right? So instead of so you can raise it then and there. So it generates an email to the trainer. So in this case, to me. So and I can reply there itself. So it's easier interface to communicate. Now, the recording, so we provide a recording for every class that would be uploaded to the Visualpath LMS. So you will be provided login to the Visualpath LMS system. So from the LMS, so you can log in and see your recordings on day basis. Yeah. So that's how the logistics are enabled. Now in terms of course content, so you see we have all and so on scripts, individual customized documents, and we will also provide notes more specific to topic wise, which are customized. And in case if someone is looking for certification immediately, so we can help it out with some terms. It is not officially, we can comment, but yeah, so we will be able to share those when we have a bunch of people are looking for certifications, right? So any questions? Anyone wanted to clarify?
Yeah, hi Shiresh.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah,
Prajesh.
yeah, will you cover Lambda training, Lambda service?
Yes, yeah, it's covered under serverless. So yeah,
Because in my current company, they have given me one task: how to schedule EC2 instance, start and stop
started.
automatically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we can do that.
previously
Yeah,
using my cron tab. Now they are using. They want me to configure. So by
Lambda.
using Lambda, we have to use Cloud or what something like that. No,
Yes,
the Dynamo.
yes.
Okay.
No, DynamoDB it's not required. So you can use with the Lambda and the CloudWatch. CloudWatch is mainly to have it.
Yeah, yeah. Fine.
Issue. Yeah. So Lambda, we have a script which is written on the Python, which we need to feed inside the Lambda. So that can initiate, stop and start of EC2 instance.
Okay. So it will be written in JSON format, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I'm using Terraform for infrastructure provisioning using AWS provider.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Terraform is okay, but for EC2 instance, scheduling is okay. We need to configure like that.
Yeah. 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 Any questions? Anything wanted to clarify? So in terms of training, see, we are going to discuss everything on, mainly from the practical point of view, how AWS architecture looks like, how the actual traffic moves from, from the user browser to AWS and how you need to really create AWS architecture. So if you look at this is a typical secured architecture for the AWS, right? So you might be finding some block, but they are really made for a specific purpose. For example, this is VPC. Then we have a public subnet. So then you will have something called Bastion host. Then we will create a public subnet in either because to have a high availability across two AWS zones. Then we will also have an instance segregation in terms of front end and back end, right? So then you will have something called application load balancer. So which it comes with, load balancing capability plus the security part, web application firewall, we call it as. So all put together, so we need to create a design, for each and every application, and that design generally it has to be approved from the company's security team and application owner, etc., etc. So in such case, we should be equipped enough to explain them what exactly this diagram is and how it will be set up during the actual deployment. Yeah. So we will also discuss about some of the migration scenarios, how we can migrate on-premises on-premises servers to the cloud. So we will also discuss about database migration. So those are something additional we are going to discuss in this training part. Yeah. So any questions? Anything wanted to clarify so far? Okay. So from the today's demonstration point of view, I'm almost done with it because this is how we generally cover.
Okay. Sorry. So these training
Start
sessions
with some
will
topic,
be
it will take at least. Yeah, I think, could you please repeat once? I think I lost in between, so
Yeah, sure. So I was asking, I mean, these sessions will happen over weekend or it's like a weekdays we will be having for these.
Batch we are targeting for weekdays, either morning IST or evening IST. So accordingly, it will be delivered. It would be like 5 days a week, 5 days or 4 days a week. Initially 1 hour, later 2 hours, like 8 hours per week. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So I am done with for this demo, guys. If it would be really great if you could, make it yourself and understand if it is applicable to you, and if you could enroll, because we are going to start the batch as early as possible. So if you think of we can start with immediately. Yeah. So anything wanted to highlight? Any questions before winding up for the class or demo? Yeah.
Hi Suresh, this is Shravanti.
Yep.
So, are these sessions going to be some practical way or the more related to theory and how it will be going to be?
No, it would be practical. Theory, yeah. So however we cover, it's all practical. We are going to demonstrate each and every topics, and you also going to do the exercises. So there are documents for each and every topics. So we will explain in the class, and same thing you need to do it on yourself. And in case if you have any issue while doing it, you can and explain, in the next class. So I can assist to close that.
Okay, and
Suresh,
I don't have
is
any sorry. So I don't have any background of I mean any knowledge on DevOps tools and all. So is it okay for me to go move ahead and do this course?
Yeah.
Any
So yeah.
prerequisites for this course or something? Any knowledge to be?
Uh,
Uh,
there is no specific prerequisites, but if you know high level how systems work, high level IP address, networking, connectivity, how application, generally looks like, that's something everyone knows it nowadays. So yeah, so if you have that, that's more than enough. Yeah. So now, what is the total number of experience if you could share? So
I
accordingly,
have
you can fine tune your resume as well.
I have around 4 years of experience,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
into
then it's pretty
development
much.
side.
Yeah, it is pretty much enough. I mean, 4 years, so we can really create a nice resume
Mm-hmm.
for the AWS point of view. That too, if you have a developmental, knowledge, it's added to an added benefit.
Okay, thank you, Suresh.
Yeah.
Suresh, my question is the class is going to be this time, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. IST or different timing?
Most likely same time, but yeah. So that's something Visualpath executive will confirm back.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah,
because
yeah.
you guys, do you have, I thought you guys had some other timing, 7 a.m. or
Yeah. So that also we have morning batch also we have.
when is that? If you guys can share me that, I'm interested for a 7 a.m. session.
Yeah, yeah. So if you could ping Visualpath in the chat, there is someone called Visualpath Executive. So you can connect with them, and you can join to the morning batches.
Sure, will do. Thank you.